Welcome, folks, to this money and XP farming guide for every lake here in Fishing Planet. Uh, I'm Soopa-Dave. I do daily guide videos on Fishing Planet and other games as well. But anyway, I want to get this started so it's not an hour-long video because we are doing every game or every lake. I want to say too, right off the bat, for example, at each lake, I am using the gear that is available when you unlock the lake. That will help most people. For example, at Florida, you don't have a keep net big enough to keep drum. And for another example would be like California. I'm only using poles that are unlocked by 34 and bait and everything like that. So when you watch the lake, you'll know all that stuff is already unlocked for you. That being said, I know some of these places you're going to be able to get more money out of when you have max level gear, or you get to that 50, 60 range where you get some really nice gear out. I actually will be doing another guide for that. Also, I want to mention all these amounts are based on 1 hour real lifetime, so 4 hours in game. So just so you know, and the reason I did that is because honestly, filling a bag up doesn't really mean much because it could have taken you 10 hours to fill a bag. One other thing to note is I did leave my big keep net on. Didn't keep the fish that you can't have just so I can show you the hour all in one sitting. So, for example, like we mentioned at San Joaquin, you have only a keep net that can hold 44-pound fish up to I think it was like 300. But anyway, so I didn't keep any fish over 300. But let's get started, folks. And very quickly, I want to mention too, I tried multiple ways every time. For example, at Lone Star Lake, I tried the bass versus the catfish and the buffalo. And for Marin River, I tried multiple things, including tabaki versus trahari versus the catfish, and gave you guys the best option that I found. For Lone Star Lake, because you're kind of restricted by level and what your gear can be here, definitely spotted bass was the better option. And I did the value spin 6-3, the Callista reel, and the mono line. The line and the reel really hold you back because of the level, but if you upgrade that, it'll help you out a little bit. And here is the mini bass jig. It is one bait coin, but I definitely recommend it because you're going to use it a lot later on too. And it is worth it. And I just casted to here. And once in a while, if I got a dead spot, I cast back to here. So the marks for it really quickly are be 44.8, 28, and 113 and 31. And our money and XP for the day was okay, guys. For Lesney Villa, we are again limited to what we can have for a rod, and it is a one rod place, obviously. And you bait limited on baits, but honestly, this wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And if you want, you could pause it to look at the setup in each of the spots, but you're really limited to your line and reel again. And what I was doing was with the bottom rod and a number 8, just casting to right there with red worms, and it was actually surprisingly pretty quick. And it's just right in this middle of this hole at -50, -40, guys. And our day for our 1 hour total is for mud water. You are really limited later on when you get higher levels or decide to come back. You could go for catfish and trophy, but at level 4, when this place unlocks, you are super limited by the rods and reel, and not to mention the hooks and lure sizes. Of the biggest ones at level 4 are only number 1s, and like I said, still limited by rod and reel. And that's the setup there if you want to pause it to see what I was fishing or what setup to use at level 4 here. And I was casting out right there on the other side of the trees. If you see where we're on the lake, the spot here is negative 26, 27 for casting. And basically, you're going for pike and bass. And for our day, or for our 1 hour total for this place, it is. And at Rocky Lake, once again, definitely held up by the reel and line. You can only do 4 pound line, so no point on putting anything more than that on. And as you can see, one thing staying consistent, actually the value spin seems to be a good choice. And at level 5, you can get this narrow spoon. And with bait coins, barbless, definitely use it. I still use it to this day like crazy. So there you go. And where I'm fishing is just on the left side of this, throwing to the back corner. If you're looking on the map, we are throwing it back to here. So 29, negative 29.14 if you want to place a mark. And for our day total, okay, for Emerald Lake, these are the 2 poles because you can have 1 rod stand at level 8. 1 pole, these are the 2 poles that I used. You can pause it if you want to see the setup, but this is the setups you can basically, the best setups you can have at level 8. And right here, I casted right there. And with the value spin, I casted right out here with 2 speed stop and go. Let's see our end of the day total. And at Naharin River, North Carolina, I actually was a little bit more surprised about this than I thought. This is the setups. You guys can, I'll go through it. You can pause if you need to. And here you can use 2 rods, obviously. And these are what I was using. And just keep in mind, uh, this guy takes bait coins, but this is one of them things that you use for a long time. So I actually recommend getting it. And why you used a 1/0 here is because you have a barbless 1/0, or you could use a 2/0. That basically your biggest options. And I decided to go with the barbless for more XP. And right here, cast it in front of the truck with the Omni float, 20 inches down and 50 centimeters down for our metric friends. And with our value spin, I casted right here, doing 2 speed stop and go. And I will show you the marks real quick so you can see them. All right, so the marks here would be 38.8 and 4.1. And this mark right here is 42.8, 20, and negative 20.8. And our end of the day, or the hour total, our real time, also worth noting here at level 10, too, at Naharin farming. This is the first time you can really get your poles balanced out. If you notice, 6.5, 6.4, 6 pounds on all 3. So it's a little closer balance than we've had. It makes the fish easier to catch here, guys. Okay, folks, and for the Netherlands money deal and XP, which you can barely call it that because I feel like that was definitely a lot lower than the ones before it. Here is the setup, and be at level 12, you can still only use 2 poles. So here you go. This is a setup I used. And on the left spawn, I casted with a number 4 right here. And with the feather light, with the barbless narrow spoon, threw out right over here. And the mark is 421.4, negative 442.6. And then the barbless narrow spoon mark I was throwing to is 428 and negative 460. Just keep in mind this one definitely does not seem as good as the others for sure around it. And the money for the hour total is here in Falcon Lake, folks. This is the setup, and as you can see, it did pretty well, better than I actually thought with just these little poles. And if you want, you can pause it to see the setups. I'll scroll through everything so you can see it quickly. And where I was fishing is bottom right corner, and I was casting with the narrow. Basically, just throw anywhere towards the lily pads so you won't need a mark. And over here, I can show you the mark 2. And right here, which is negative 80, negative 60. And that is where I was throwing the minnows, the small minnows, on a bottom rod with a 2-aught. And for our day total, and one thing to note, guys, really quick on the Everglades here, is I actually did have another uni on, but I could not get him in before the hour was done, so I didn't catch it. I let him go. And also one other fish during that fight too. So that being said, here is a setup for Florida, and this is actually a super balanced pole that you can run on full drag, so full reel power, and it works almost perfectly. It's nice to actually get a balanced pole in this run through here. This is your first real chance at a good balanced pole. And also here is a setup for these. You can pause and look at if you want. And here it's actually somewhat usable to have the 2. So at Falcon Lake I didn't use 2 extra poles. I just used 1 extra pole. But that does unlock at Florida. And where I was casting, I'll be very clear. Up here at Infinity Tunnels, I just was casting full distance with this bass jig that you get, with bait coins earlier. And at Florida, for the butterfly, I was casting right here. Also because you're not going to get a unique very often, so you can pull them in pretty quick. That was kind of the thought process on it. And I would throw both of them with 12 inches or about 30 centimeters, guys. And the marks really quickly are negative 20 and negative 68. And anywhere down over here, but negative 37.4 and negative 95. And for our end of the day total, now for type of river, this is actually one of my favorite pulls in the game. But anyway, there's a setup. And for the other pulls I did, this lake you're a little limited to what baits you have. And the same thing here. And where I was fishing was at type of river with bloodworms just thrown out here. And with my jig winner, I was throwing all the way out for mostly trout. And the marks are right here. Negative 1050 and 168, and uh, negative 1004 and 177 if you want to put them on your map. And for our hourly total, and at White Moose Lake, the big issue is you can't catch a fish over 15.5 when you first unlock this lake. So that being said, when you first unlock the lake and you want to use this as a money farm, you kind of want to go after smaller fish, obviously. And believe it or not, if you look right here, this burbot, which is 10.4, and this is 10.5 and 10.5, is actually worth more than these two. So burbot's actually a pretty good thing to go for. And that being said, uh, I went after burbot and some smaller trout, and these are the setups I used. If you want, you can pause them. The only difference between these two is bait, and this is, there we go, that setup, and I was fishing right here. I was just casting right over there. I don't have a mark for it. And I was with my bottom rods, casting right into the middle of my two uni markers here. And if you want the chords to put on your map, it would be 15, negative 19. And our end of the day total, which probably could have been a little bit better, but I did have one big lake trout take some time off of me, is, and at Louisiana, at level 26, you're limited by your keep net, which only can get 22 pounds. So we had to go for little fish, and also your poles wouldn't be able to handle it at 26, like the big uni flatheads and gar. These are the poles I used, and also this, just to make a note, is for your 30 days that you can get when you do Emerald Lake. So that is really unlocked to you at this point. And here are the flow poles that I used in setups, and if you want, you can pause them and do that. But I'm at the top right of the map of Pelican Bay, where you normally catch spotted bass here, and then I turned around and float poled back here, and I will show you the marks, but also with the jig winner, casting like back here on 2-speed stop and go, and then also casting over there 2-speed stop and go. And the marks are, if you do want to place them, the marks are would be negative 43.6 and 26.9, and then also for casting, negative 99 and negative 21, and also negative 70 and negative 51. And for today's total, the hourly total, and at Sacred Lake, Michigan, here you can see the setup. Um, and these are the other ones. Honestly, you could also just do 3 of these phoenixes if you wanted. And remember, the weight limit here is 33 pounds. This guy was pretty close. But at any rate, we are in the pike corner, and the cords are at 20 inches, 50 centimeters. I am throwing right here at negative 99.4, negative 325.6. And the casting mark is out here is where I was casting, negative 96.5, negative 361. And our day end total is Okay, guys, at San Joaquin, California, there is some glaring issues a little bit when you first come here. I did obviously try multiple ways, like four different ways: striped bass, sturgeon, carp, and sturgeon from the boat. And the best one was sturgeon from the boat. So you have some limiting factors here, guys. When you first come here, you only have 44-pound net, and you only have an Ardex, so you really take a long time to fight some of these guys. And even the carp, even a 20-pound carp is a pretty good fight here. So I ended up fishing out of the boat and had the best numbers and had to dump obviously a few sturgeon. But all in all, this is a setup right here for 34 that will really help you out when you if you do first come here. I actually recommend waiting a little bit because this can make a lot more money when you have some better poles and the better keep net. But anyway, I'll show you the spot. And you could do this from shore. It's about the same amount of money, a little bit better out of the canoe. And it is right here. It is negative 60, 25, and negative 29.35. And one thing I want to mention is once you catch it with one, you just switch the rod to the other bait, and you just keep switching it every time you cast it, guys. And for our end of the day total, and at Alaska, this was pretty easy and straightforward. One pole was better than doing three poles, and when you come here, you can only catch your bag is actually only a 55-pound max, so I had to dump two unique Chinook. But other than that, this is the setup, guys, and like I said, everything is unlocked at level 38 here, and you can pause the setup if you want to see it. But this is where I was fishing from, and fishing across here on the third dock on 3-speed stop and go. And if you want a casting mark, negative 297.9 and negative 200.8. And our end of the day total, or the hour total here, is okay, guys. And at Sanders Bakersy, you're gonna want 3 of these Brutuses on this setup, and you can pause it if you want to see, or and set your pull up that way. Um, really surprised by actually how well this went. This is the first lake where a keep net doesn't hold you back, and also um, it is not a tremendous fight unless you have a really big one. And right here's where I'm casting with a 6-aught with vegetables and the position, and also 20 inches down or 50 centimeters. So if you want to know where we're on the map, we're right here, and it is 1063 by 672.4, guys. And for our 1 hour total of real life fishing, and at Russia, I tried multiple ways. Here is the poll for Russia, but you're really limited here because you can't really pull in the wells. And when you do fight them, half of them are belugas at this point till you get better baits. So you really struggle with that. So this ended up being the best way to make money with the X Series medium spoon that you get from Michigan, your 30-day challenge at Michigan. And if you want to see where we are on the lake, I am just casting this straight out on 2-speed or 3-speed stop and go right here at negative 45 and 99.3. And for our end of the hour total, okay, for Weeping Willows, this is very interesting. Basically, everything you need is unlocked for this place. All the poles, this whole setup, and I will show it to you guys. But everything is unlocked. This is basically as good as it can get at Weeping Willows without using um, the oversized carp deal, but that cuts into your profits anyway. So, but anyway, this is a setup, and I use krill pop-ups and these tiger nut pop-ups. And like I said, I'll pause it so you can pause it if you want to see the setup. And you know, we did pretty good. And like I said, uh, everything was unlocked. So this is basically your XP run no matter what, not just coming to the lake. You can basically get anything from the lake anyway. And we're going to show you the mark here. Give me 1 second. And it is 44.2, 37, or 375.8, guys. And our end of the day total, which should be a lot because this is like end game stuff here. And at Blue Crab Island, guys, these are the two setups that I used. I just used 5 of them. And here you go, you can look at them. So this rod was a 6/0 with the bottom rod was a 6/0 with large cut bait. And I did Majesty with shiners on a 6/0 20 inches down. Right here, I throw the shiners 20 inches, 50 centimeters down. And also the large cut bait bottom rods I would throw here and here. And it worked very well. Let's look at the day end total here. Okay, and for Makomaku Lake, I actually did the same setup. Now, I actually did have to split the day in two. The reason being is I thought um, I was going to fill up my bag too quick, so I did 2 hours in one day and 2 hours in the other day. The other bag had 870 pounds, and we'll do a trip as a result for that. And I think it's just because I had two trophy arapimas in it. But this is the setup, guys, same as I did for blue crab, and I did the flow pole as well. And what we'll do here is I'll show you where I'm at. I am at the corner here, and I did the bottom rods, two here, and a float pole here, and a one over here, all with minnows and a 6/0, and I can show you the mark here. This is one mark, 151.228, and this mark right here, 142.8, and 2745. So for this hour total, we're gonna have to leave the lake here. Okay, for Marin River, we went obviously after the big catfish, and this is the setup I use. Now, when you get here, you can't really get the best reel for this. So these are the ones, and then I did dead Lombardi, duck mussel, and frog, huge cut bait, and large liver. And I cast it out to right here in front of me. This is a spot I normally always go, and I was kind of surprised it didn't fill my bag, but it is what it is. And if you want the mark to cast out at, it is you can put a mark at 54 and 153, guys. And let's see our end of day total here. And at Amazonian Maze, as you can see, I got super unlucky, and I actually missed 3 fish. Just bad luck. But this is the big right here. You normally get at least 1 or 2, trophies, and then normals. But this still, even at the low end, would be the worst bag you could basically get doing this. It's 67. So anyway, this is the setup, guys. You can actually use a 6-pound. Yes, I said 6-pound doing this. And at the end, I'll leave a little video clip so you can see what I'm talking about. But anyway, guys, you're going to be right here for the first spot for bull sharks. There's a lot of ways to make money in XP down here, but this is the one. Because this place is so new yet, it's still going to evolve and change here, but this is negative 478.3, negative 13.3, and you just do your leader, and then you do the shortest amount that you can. So for most people, it's going to be 13 inches and 35 centimeters. And also, too, guys, once you catch one or two, if you want, you can move. Any of these islands that you see have shark at them. But I'll give you a couple of my favorite spots so far here. So there's this one here, and this one here. And that is negative 587 and 84. And then this spot down here, you can switch to a waggler right here. And you can get trophy bull sharks and unique paraba pretty darn quick. And I do want to say thanks to Shaq, the one that told me about that. I've been fishing with him, and as you can see, he's been catching them pretty darn quick. And just so you know, like I said, this is the low end of the money. So let's see our day end total here for XP as well, because probably going to be pretty decent on XP. Yeah, and this, like I said, this number can go from anywhere in 1 hour to from this to all the way from like 60,000 XP and 170,000 dollars. I just had, like I said, a bad run on it, and also like I said, sticks, so you can see how I was catching them without having to move the boat, guys. Oh, wait, so you'll wait for your bobber to go underwater, then you'll lift up your rod, and then right after it, start reeling in. And once you get good at it, you should have no problems at all. And you can even use like a 6-pound float setup for this as well. And hopefully this will help you out. It'll take a little bit of practice, though. Just make sure your pole is almost completely reeled in when you put the bobber out. That'll make it so it won't fight you. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this and you learned some new things. I will be doing another guide for max level on these lakes as well, where you can take any gear you want to it, so stick around for that. And there were some surprises, obviously. Like, for example, I would have never thought Naharin was a better place to fish than Emerald at their level. That being said, folks, hopefully this helped you out. It was about $2 million in game for me and about a week and a half real time to make this guide. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it helps you guys out. We'll see you next time.